Hello and welcome to LVLS Whenever, episode 67. Game Awards were yesterday, and I'm sparing you having to watch 3.5 hours of Jeff Keighley and shenanigans to bring you the 8 best things that came from it. I also got some pickups, so let's just start there. I got the Grease plushie from Fangamer to join my forest spirit. This was like last chance clearance, and I was like, you know what? I love Grease. I'm gonna go ahead and get it. And finally arrived, and I'm pretty happy with it now that I see it in person. Sometimes seeing things in person makes things better. I also got a bunch of shirts. I'm wearing one, but let's go ahead and flash back like a week when I recorded when I got all of these shirts, and then we'll move into the Game Awards content. I ordered some new shirts. So first up is this Fire Emblem 3 Houses shirt with Idle Guard. Looks really, really rad. I also got this one by the same artist, Claude. It's a little hard to see. Yeah, it's a little better. I also got another Fire Emblem shirt with Lucina, Fire Emblem Awakening. I haven't seen this design before when I was looking up shirts, but this one just is a really cool design. I like it a lot. I wanted to fill a couple holes in my collection that I like the games a lot, but I didn't actually have a shirt for them. So I finally got a Resident Evil shirt with Claire, done in this, forget how it was like neon wave, I think is how the artist described it. But I really like this one, and I picked a really bold color for it to make it pop a bit more. I also got a Skies of Arcadia shirt. I have been wanting a Sky shirt for a long time. I ordered one a very long time ago, but it got stained, or it got messed up in the wash, so it got soaked in a color I didn't want it to be. So I had to basically get a new one, but I wanted to have one that actually had all of the main characters on it, and this was the best I could do, but it's a nice shirt. And then I didn't have a Street Fighter shirt, so I finally got one. And it deals with food, because I really like getting shirts with food, apparently. Last but not least, to continue my Splatoon love, I wanted to get something with deep cut, and this was what was there, and it's adorable, and I like it a lot. Alright, I'm picking 8 trailers that I thought did a really good job at selling me on whatever it is they're attempting to sell. On the whole, I feel like this Game Awards was better than most on the trailer front, but it really was front-loaded, which isn't surprising. They tend to do that. And the big reveal at the end on Final Fantasy XVI was not something I really cared for, following Yoshi P's recent comments on diversity in that game, which was bad. It was not a good answer. So most of this stuff's actually from more of the front. I think the thing that's the latest on here is like Fire Emblem Engage. So I was pretty uninterested in like the last hour and a half. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's go ahead and check out what I thought was great. We'll start with Street Fighter VI, which had a 4-character reveal. Showing off DJ and 3 of the brand new characters in the game, whose names I don't entirely remember off the top of my head, so I'll just wait till I see them on the screen. DJ looks fantastic, though. This is the best he's ever looked. Hands down. Get to see more of World Tour mode here. There's a tag mechanic, apparently, where you could have 2v2 battles. Not really sure how that works. There's a lot of mini-games being shown off. They're ripping up Art of Fighting. Street Fighter Third Strike gets its basketball minigame back. There's one of our new characters. I'm going to say her name is Marisa. And this is Manon. And then I want to say our new villainous character is JP. It'll show in a minute. But all of them look fantastic. I'm really intrigued by Marisa because her stage has a bunch of like gladiators in the background. So it makes me wonder, is this like is her stage somewhere in a different time zone? Because it's striking how different her stage background is compared to everything else. It just looks like it's from Rome back in the day. I think all of the characters, though, look really interesting, doing some different stuff. And it's fantastic having a character like Marisa on the roster, because we don't see women with that type of body very often in video games. Just extremely muscular. It's wonderful. I'm glad to see that a lot more diversity in body types coming out in games like this as of late. But all of them look fantastic. This was a very hyped trailer. I can't wait to see more of Street Fighter 6. I really want to see what Cammy looks like. Because her redesign is the one I'm most excited about. Primarily because she's wearing pants. Alright, next up is Fire Emblem Engage. This is the wild thing to me about Fire Emblem anymore, is that it's such a big franchise, it's the Game Awards choice for Nintendo. So, they announced an expansion pass. We got a little bit more gameplay. The expansion pass has 4 waves. And as we're about to see, it includes I thought there was less of a gap here. The 3 Houses Lords, Edelgard, Dimitri, and Claude. They are grouped together in one bracelet. And then we also have Tiki from Shadow Dragon and the Blade of Light. They're acting as Wave 1. There's 3 more waves coming later this year. This really does make sense in terms of how would you expand Fire Emblem Engage. You add more retro characters as emblems, and that does seem to be what they're doing through the rest of the waves. They don't go into detail here in the video, but the brief notes they provided in text form following this reveal, there's more emblem characters being added in the next 3 waves. So that might be a fun video to discuss what lords I'd like to see. There was some other videos that came out in Japan. They go into more detail about this wave as well as the hub area of the game, which does seem to indicate that there's going to be a bunch of other characters from Fire Emblem games of the past in the game as rings that are stat-based, not necessarily summon-based. But until that video is released in English, I'm not 100% sure. But for me, I'm excited about the possibility of having Edelgard in the game and seeing where else it goes. Claude 2 and Tiki. I could care less about Dimitri, but I think that's pretty apparent. Alright, this was probably, in my opinion, the biggest hype trailer of the entire Game Awards. Nobody necessarily expected to see Supergiant's next game, and I think everyone was pleasantly surprised that it's a sequel to Hades. I genuinely think people were not sure what Supergiant was putting out next, and this is the first sequel they've ever done. but I think it's the most appropriate sequel that they have needed to do. The original Hades is a fantastic game that really changed the roguelike into being a far more accessible and narrative-driven game genre that I think we're going to start seeing a lot of the ripples of its influence coming soon. And having another game in that mold by Supergiant that looks as incredible as this one does is really exciting. And yay, you get to be a lady. That's always great. But look at how good this looks. And Hades already looked good. Has just impeccable art style. All of it's hand painted and then put into the game very carefully, and it looks incredible. Just even these brief flashes of gameplay has me really hyped, and I need to just sit down and actually play the original on my Switch. I am doing myself a disservice by continuing to just let it sit there. So that'll be something I need to get into for 2023. I'm intrigued by the fact that they're going the Titan route too. I think that's a great choice, and this is apparently Hades' daughter that wasn't even I don't know if she was mentioned in Hades 1, so I'm now further intrigued. But yeah, great to see Hades coming. Now here's another surprise. Bayonetta 3 literally just came out and had plenty of controversy. But I think as a game, not necessarily narrative or voice actor drama aside, it was solid. And Platinum's got a Origins game with a completely different art style, gameplay mechanics, and visual, just like the aesthetic is so different, and we're about to see it. Look at this. Look at this game. It's beautiful. It's literally like a storybook. It's an isometric, at times, platformer / action game, but you're as Cerveza when she was very young. And she acquires Cheshire, and the two of you bond over this game's adventure as Cheshire fights things for Cerveza, and she tries to figure out where her mom is. I mean, it's a really interesting concept that does apparently answer some questions that Bayonetta 3 presented. So, as someone who basically is not that big of a fan of this series, this one might actually get me to consider buying it because it looks really interesting and different. I'm going to be paying attention to what other people say about it, but I think that this was a really good surprise by Nintendo because nobody expected another Bayonetta game so soon. Alright, next up, it's Earthblade by Extremely OK Games, the developers behind Celeste, and you can see that pedigree in this game. And I have been eagerly looking forward to seeing what Earthblade would look like from the moment it was revealed, I want to say a year and a half ago? And it's still a long ways off. They're saying 2024. But this game definitely looks to take what Celeste was bringing in terms of a platformer perspective and adds a combat element to it, as well as tweaking the general formula significantly. I'm wondering if this is going to be more like a Metroidvania, as our unnamed protagonist here has a double jump that they don't use all the time. But there's a lot of new mechanics like climbing up chains. He's got these platforms that wiggle, of course, to combat. It looks like there's a melee and up-close options. You can climb like you can in Celeste. You can eat things. There's the double jump, which is different. I like it. I like the animation. But yeah, this looks incredible. Definitely something that I am very, very eager to learn more about. I think that Celeste is one of the greatest games ever made, and the team behind it, I have no doubts in their ability to create a game that is building off of that foundation, but taking it in a completely different direction, gameplay-wise. I think they're going to nail it, so I'm very excited to see where they're going with it. So the very first trailer was Castlevania music, Dead Cells. So yeah, we're getting a little crossover between Dead Cells and Castlevania as its next DLC package, which is interesting. I haven't picked up Dead Cells. I've kind of thought about it, but like I think I've said before that roguelites generally are not my favorite thing. But when you add Castlevania characters to it, it's definitely going to catch my interest. And it's Richter and Alucard, who are two of my absolute favorites in the series. Best Belmont, and while I like Soma a little bit more than Alucard, I think Alucard is also fantastic. And then Dracula's also in the game, apparently. I don't think a whole lot of actual gameplay is shown in this. I think it's just kind of a look at what we're doing, this neat animation style. But I think it's a really exciting crossover that will at least give people something to look forward to in terms of Castlevania content. Alright, Replaced. This has been shown a few times before, but this is probably the most in-depth look of it that I've seen yet, and just look at how stunning this game's pixel art is. Unfortunately, GameSpot is not giving me the world's greatest trailer, so let me just auto it so we can try to at least give it the best that we can. But this just looks really, really good. Stunning art direction. Still don't really fully understand how it works gameplay-wise. I guess you can move around a little bit up and down in some areas, but it looks to be a relatively flat 2D game. But look at like this cutscene animation is just incredible. But there's combat, a little bit shown off here. Not much, but a little bit. It's definitely one of the most interesting looking games that I've seen on these various Game Awards / Summer Game Fest / forget what in the world, the Guerrilla Collective. It's had plenty of time to show off, but this is definitely the best look at what the game's about. And it looks cool. I think that it's definitely one of the more compelling looking games that I've seen. Alright, the last one that I felt pretty hyped about is called After Us. It's developed by Piccolo and being published by Private Division. You have this character who creates flowers behind them in a post-apocalyptic world. And their goal is to free the souls of creatures that have died, best as I can tell. I'm not really sure if there's combat in this game. I don't remember if it showed off any. But it's definitely a very... Yeah, there is a bit. But it's a very strong spin on this dystopic atmosphere that is pretty prevalent in games. And looks really, really fascinating. I feel like it's still a little early in terms of like the main character's model here. But on the whole, it looks really interesting, and I'd like to see more of it in the future. All right, well, end this episode with a cool screen grab of Hades 2. Thank you for joining me on this truncated highlight reel of the Game Awards. I just wasn't feeling well yesterday, and I was like, do I really want to record 3.5 hours of the Game Awards, or do I want to just do this? And clearly this went out. Which I think ultimately was the better choice for all parties. There was plenty of other people who were checking out the whole show. We're going to be doing award stuff when Levels Plus Whenever comes back. Hopefully I'll get through a couple more 2022 games before then. We'll be doing Dual Life Perspective after that, and then it'll be back to relative normalcy. But I'll also be doing some more Top 111 videos throughout the month. Those are coming out a little bit slower because I'm doing a bunch of other things right now. And I also have a Smash Wildcat JF series on my characters that I would love to add. Just about ready to go. I just got to actually record thoughts, but I've got everything else prepped and ready to go, so I'm pretty excited. And then at some point I'm going to get a Mega Man 3 Levels Plus Plays out there, so got plenty of video stuff to look forward to over the next month or so. Alright, have a wonderful, wonderful day, and we'll see you soon. Take care.